At number 10 we have cannabis edibles. With the rise of mainstream cannabis use, there has been an urban legend circulating that some houses aren't giving out regular gummy bears. Instead, they're putting a supercharged weed edible into your pillowcase disguised as candy. If you're doing this on Halloween and kids come to your house and they say trick or treat, you can say both. In recent years, this has been one of the more popular warnings, everyone telling their kids that they should look out for candy with strange packaging because it might launch them into the stratosphere if they eat it. I mean, this might happen, but I highly doubt it. I don't think anyone is going to spend thousands of dollars on weed edibles just to waste them on a bunch of kids. The last thing someone thinks when they buy a bunch of weed is, let's use this to make sure a bunch of kids have a really good time. No, if someone is buying a massive amount of edibles or making them themselves, they aren't going to try and ruin your Halloween. They're probably just stocking up for the apocalypse, so they can still get high while the world is on fire. At number 9 we have the 13th floor. When you go into a building, why is there no 13th floor? We all know the superstition about unlucky number 13 and Friday the 13th. I mean, there's an entire movie series about it that gave birth to one of the most famous horror characters of all time. But there is a great urban legend that merges Halloween and the creepy 13th floor. Apparently way back when the 13th floor was still a thing in buildings, someone decided to put on a haunted house in one. A multi-layered haunted house that spiraled all the way up to the 13th floor. Each level of the house was a different theme and scarier than the last. This 13-layered dip of doom was so scary that most people turned around and headed back to their homes with pee-filled costumes. And those were the lucky ones, because everyone who managed to make their way all the way to the final stage was never heard from again. That's a crummy reward for being the bravest person around. Death? Maybe they were never heard from again because there was a bunch of gold up there and they took it and moved to the Bahamas. Well, that would be better. At number 8 we have LSD tattoos for kids! More drugs for kids. Again, I would like to say no one will do this. Drugs are expensive and no one wants to waste them on your screaming toddler. Although if I was gonna dose a misbehaving kid with any sort of drug, it would probably be LSD. A few drops in his little sippy cup and I'd be like, hey, deal with your ego, you're annoying to everyone. In the 70s, when LSD was all over the news, a rumor got started that some people were putting LSD in those pressable tattoos for kids. Parents all over America started to throw them out because they didn't want little Timmy to reach a higher plane, man, like really trip out, dog. At number 7 we have college campus murders. Killing a bunch of co-eds all dressed slutty on Halloween night? Wow, so original. If you're gonna be a serial killer, at least bring something new to the table. Killing hot chicks on a spooky holiday is about as original as a seductive vampire movie. Well, this legend started in the 60s and it does have a little bit of flair to it. The legend involves a TV psychic making a prediction that a bunch of people will be killed on a college campus on Halloween night. Everyone goes crazy and college kids are too frightened to run around super drunk and half naked, and they spend their Halloween in their bedrooms watching scary movies, hoping next year they can hook up with someone they'll never talk to again. Of course, this never happened. It was a rumor kicked around probably by some teens. But I don't know, maybe for fun we should all go to a psychic and see if we can get them to tell us about a bunch of grisly murders that are on the horizon. Also, if you're a psychic and you see the future and there's a bunch of people getting massacred, shouldn't you do something about it? At number 6 we have Halloween hitchhiker. You're never really supposed to pick up hitchhikers, but I think you should be extra careful on Halloween night. It's just an extra spooky time and you don't want some random person on the side of the highway to feel inspired by the date and then chop you into little pieces. The legend of the Halloween hitchhiker is a tale as old as time. A trucker picks up a lady walking on the side of the highway. This is on Halloween night. She gets in, they start to talk for a bit, and the conversation leads her to talking about a gruesome murder that she witnessed. The girl who she describes in the murder is strangely similar to herself. The trucker is starting to get very freaked out. Luckily they're close to her destination. He lets her out of the cab of the truck, she thanks him, and then when he looks in his rearview mirror to see where she goes, she vanishes. Spooky. At number 5 we have Halloween gang initiation. As time goes on, we get new urban legends that will fit our changing culture. The Halloween night gang initiation was a rumor that got passed around and even made its way onto the news. The public was warned that the world famous gang, the Bloods, was going to be doing a gang initiation on Halloween night. This initiation consisted of them killing 31 women on Halloween. Seems like a bit much. I mean, I've never been in a gang, but I'm sure after the first 15 you'd be like, you know, this guy is very serious. I think we should let him in. I mean, if I had a gang and someone wanted in, all they would have to do is take me on a really nice date and then afterwards give me their Disney Plus password, but I'm just a simple guy. This rumor also got so out of control that the number skyrocketed to 141 women. Thankfully, it was revealed that it was all a hoax, so ladies across the world could go out on Halloween night without worried about being murdered. Well, worried less about being murdered. I don't know how much you normally worry about being murdered. At number 4 we have Where's Mama's Head? A famous Halloween picture of Susan and John Buckley. It shows them standing with their mother, Susan with an axe in her hand, and John with his mother's head in his hands. And also, their mom's decapitated body kneels between them. This picture is over 100 years old and it looks terrifying, and the story behind it is all the kids in the neighborhood were going to get dummies and cut their heads off as a Halloween prank. John and Susan wanted to be the best pranksters in town and they cut off their mom's head. Then they took this photo. The police came to the house and the Buckley siblings were nowhere to be found. What the police did find was their mom's body half eaten. I guess after they killed their mom they were like, wait, who's gonna make dinner? Not a lot of foresight with these two. However, this picture was photoshopped. The two kids never killed their mom and then took a picture with her head. Like I said before, this photo is over 100 years old, so that means there would have needed to be a third person involved to take the picture. There was no like setup camera picture thing back then. And that guy probably would have been like, man, that dummy looks awfully real and awfully familiar. Here's the real photo. At number 3 we have Haunted Halloween Doll. Apparently this urban legend was actually the inspiration for the movie Chucky. It was back in the 1900s and there was a young boy named Robert. He was hanging out doing whatever kids in the 1900s would do, probably throwing rocks and being illiterate, I don't know. Well, it was Robert's lucky day because his maid had a little gift for him. It was a little doll which was also named Robert. Not a very good idea. I mean, if you're gonna give someone a doll, at least give them a doll that doesn't have a name. Shouldn't they be allowed to name it? Well, apparently this doll was named Robert, so it would be forever linked to this boy because it had a voodoo curse on it. Huge bummer. That would be a gift that I would definitely re-gift to someone else. Well, the doll tormented the kid for his whole life until it eventually drove him to kill himself. Oof, bummer. At number 2 we have Spider Wig. This one is a classic. I had to put it on the list. A girl is trying to throw together a cheap Halloween costume, so she starts going through her grandparents' things. She heads into the basement and finds a bunch of stuff, including an old wig and a nice witch's hat. Amazing. She's ready for Halloween night on a budget. She heads over to her friend's Halloween party, but when she gets there, people can't look at her without screaming at the top of their lungs. It is Halloween, but that's not the response you're looking for when people look at you. Well, she starts to feel a weird itching sensation all over her body. She rushes into the bathroom, looks into the mirror, and she sees thousands of little spiders crawling all over her body. You tried to save money and have fun on Halloween, and now you get screwed over. Next time, just go to Spirit Halloween and buy the overpriced wig. And our number 1 spot is the Undying Mask. I'm pretty sure this one got started from a Goosebumps book, but it's about a mask that you put on that you can never take off. The legend goes that someone walks into a mysterious costume shop on Halloween night. They need a last minute costume and they see this mask. It's a mask of an old dying man, and they think, why not? An old dude would be great. Easy costume. They take it home, they put it on, and it looks strangely real, like it's attached to their skin. But then the mask won't come off, as if it has become a part of them. They start to freak out. How do I get this thing off my face? So they run back to the costume shop, but it's empty. Just a hollow building with nothing in it. The longer they wear the mask, the more the mask becomes a part of them until it takes over their whole body. They become the dying old man that the mask represented. They make a full transformation and then they're never themselves again. Woo!
Coming in at number 10 we have a Halloween flasher. Nothing says scary like your neighborhood pervert. I guess this is a big worry when parents let their kids knock on doors alone. In 2013, John Vowles of Deltona was arrested after several reports of him flashing young children. He would answer the door to trick-or-treaters wearing a loosely tied robe that exposed his genitals. What a weirdo. He isn't the only creep to have flashed kids either. The same thing has happened in many countries, including England, where in Lancashire a man answered his door fully nude to children on Halloween. Ew. Nude creeps are actually scarier than any Halloween costume. Coming in at number 9 we have candy thieves. Kids already get free sweets on Halloween, so those that turn to petty robbery are just outright greedy. In 2011, 5 teenagers from Dale City in Virginia, aged between 15 and 19, terrorized trick-or-treaters, demanding that they give them their candy. When the treaters refused, they then threatened them with a gun, which they didn't use, but they did attack them. Luckily, the teenagers were later arrested. Coming in at number 8, we have a Snickers stabber. In the year 2000, a man named James Joseph Smith snuck needles into Snickers bars that he handed out on Halloween, one of which stabbed a teenager in the mouth, although luckily it wasn't serious. Nonetheless, as several children had been given the needle-laced Snickers bars, the police investigated and charged Smith with adulterating a substance with intent to cause death, harm, or illness. Unfortunately, he isn't the only candy stabber. On Halloween of 2016, a nail was found stuck in a Snickers in Coldwater, Michigan. I guess, like, how much can you really trust stuff that comes from strangers? Coming in at number 5, another sicko, we have the Candyman. For those of you that watched our video about Halloween deaths, you will have already heard of this man. The Candyman was the name given to killer dad Ronald O'Brien, who gave cyanide-laced pixie sticks to his children and 3 other kids in the neighborhood. This was all out while they were trick-or-treating on Halloween in the 1970s. Sadly, his son died of cyanide poisoning, however the other kids managed to avoid the candy. The reason he poisoned the candy? It seems it was to claim life insurance of his children to cover his debts. He was killed by lethal injection in 1984. Coming in at number 2, we have another trick-or-treat murder. In 1957, Peter and Betty Fabiano were about to go to bed on Halloween night when the doorbell rang. Despite thinking it was a little late for treaters, Peter opened the door with a bowl of candy and was met with a masked woman and a paper bag. Betty heard a shot and a screech of tires and found her husband dying in a pool of blood. He died on the way to hospital, and Betty had no idea how to explain the crime other than trick-or-treaters showed up and shot her husband. Eventually, it turned out a jealous friend by the name of Joan Rabble had convinced her lover Goldine Pizer to shoot Betty's husband. Pizer and Rabble called Peter evil and vile. After Pizer had killed Fabiano, Rabble hoped that she would win the affections of Betty, telling Pizer to forget her, which is how the whole scheme became unraveled. Alright, coming into number 10, we have deadly eggs. Halloween eggings have actually led to a whole host of violence and even death over the years. In 2010, the New York Times claimed that at least 24 people had been seriously wounded or killed in stabbings or shootings that came as a result of an egg in New York alone. This was over the past 25 years, which equates to roughly 1 egg-related death each Halloween, but that's still one too many. So I'm going to talk about one particular incident here. Now this story comes from 1998 from the Bronx. Mr. Jackson and his girlfriend were out picking up her 9-year-old son from a kid's party. When they parked up their car ready to pick up the kid, a group of teenagers threw eggs at the car. The 21-year-old man got out and he decided to reprimand the kids. Do you know what? I'd do the same if some idiot threw an egg at my car. He told them that they were out of line and they took offense. An argument broke out, and when Mr. Jackson got back in the car, a teen pulled a gun on him and shot him in the head, killing him instantly. Statistics in the New York Times said that almost all of the people involved in violence after egg tossings are males. So boys, maybe just put those eggs down and stop being idiots. Cool, thanks. Coming into number 9, we have the McDonald's Ouija boards. McDonald's is known to give out little treats for kids in its Happy Meals. I used to love a Happy Meal. In fact, maybe I'll get a Happy Meal. Now often these treats are seasonal. For example, at Christmas, they're Christmassy. We can all enjoy that, a bit of seasonal fun. Well, one Halloween it seems that McDonald's were giving out Ouija boards in their Happy Meals as treats for kids. A post on Facebook showing the spooky Happy Meal went viral when Amy Grundy posted, "So excited for McDonald's Halloween Happy Meal this year." The post was shared 42,000 times and people were seriously angry at the fast food chain for bringing bad juju to their precious kids. Now, the only thing was that, well, it wasn't real. Amy's post was a joke. Now she later edited it to emphasize that it was just fun Photoshop job. She put a little winky face, and we all know a winky face means like, lol. Joke. She also did post saying, "But for all of those concerned with the future of our children, you might want to march those pitchforks and torches right on over to Toys R Us, Walmart, Target, etc. They all sell Ouija boards." Yep, that's right, they sell Ouija boards and millions of them a year. So guys, don't be mad at Mackie D's when your local toy store does give kids the ability to contact the dead, and not just during promotional Halloween periods. Coming in at number 8, we have fat shamers. Imagine sending your kid off to trick or treat treat, or being a kid doing the tricking and treating, and instead of getting some delicious candy from your kindly neighbours, you get a fat-shaming letter written by a nasty neighbourhood wench. I actually kind of like the idea of being a nasty neighbourhood wench. I will say though, is it anything to call the police over? No, they've probably got much bigger fish to fry. A woman identifying herself as Cheryl distributed letters to larger kids in her neighbourhood in West Fargo, North Dakota. When parents dug them out of candy bags, they found that they said, "Happy Halloween and happy holidays, neighbour. You're probably wondering why your child has this note. Have you ever heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child? Your child is moderately obese and should not be consuming sugar and treats this Halloween." Eesh, harsh words. Was this fair or was this out of line? You guys let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Coming in at number 7, we have the Nana Scarers. Okay, so kids go out on Halloween and are usually trusted to walk the neighbourhood with their friends. So what if your kid's friendship group is actually toxic and instead of going around collecting treats, they terrorise the neighbourhood? Bad kids. In 2015, a group of youths in Manchester in the United Kingdom went trick-or-treating, and when an elderly woman answered the door to give them sweets, the gang hurled abuse at her. They said things like, "F you old Nana." They also called her the C word. Now, she was terrified. I can't even imagine how this would feel if this was my Nana. I know she'd be so spooked. Sometimes people are too afraid to answer the door on Halloween because of the abuse they get from unruly children. If you are an unruly child or teen or anyone, just come on, grow up. Don't go around scaring Nanas. Coming into number 6, we have sugar skulls. In October 2015, police in Jackson, Mississippi posted an image on Facebook of what looked like a whole bunch of delicious sugar candy. I imagine them tasting kind of sour and yummy. They had little skulls and colourful Superman bites, domino-shaped treats, something blue with a snake on. I would expect a sugar high from consuming all of these, but it turns out there is a different kind of high awaiting those who ingest these brightly coloured little pills. Also, if you ate more than one of them, you would likely die. These are dangerous narcotics and not candy, as the police department pointed out in their post. Whether or not someone would actually make the mistake of handing these out is up for debate. These drugs are pretty pricey, so I don't know, if someone was hellbent on poisoning kids, there would be a cheaper way to be a psycho. Website Snopes did write that the small collection of pills depicted here represents a street value of hundreds of dollars, so the notion that a neighbour would be distributing them for trick-or-treaters for no ostensible reason is rather implausible. Fair. Alright, what about this at number 5? What do you think? To this, we have marijuana edibles. Alright, this here is a lollipop. This here is a marijuana infused lollipop. Can you guys tell the difference? Marijuana is being legalized in more and more states and countries. It's legal in Canada where I live, and ways of consuming the herbal drug have evolved. People don't have to smoke pot anymore, they can eat it, and a whole bunch of products have hit the market. For example, these days you can eat weed-infused candy or candy floss. While there are a lot of studies to show that legalization of pot is a positive thing, you don't want to accidentally go giving out drug gummies to kids. This fear is increasingly strong after a kid in New Mexico brought a box of medical marijuana candy to school and handed them out to her friends. 5 of the kids got high. It was all pretty awkward. They were alright in the end though, but still, it's a fear. Coming into number 3, we have some serious candy rage. The morning after Halloween night in 2011, Maria Adams was killed in the south side of Chicago over a dispute about a missing bag of Halloween candy. The 49-year-old was attacked when her 55-year-old male friend accused her of stealing a bag of candy from his home. Like, dude, you're 55, who cares? Go out and buy some more. It's the beauty of being an adult. The man became enraged and thought that she was lying about the missing sweet. Now it seems that the candy was more important to the man than his friend's life, and he stabbed her several times with steak knives. She was pronounced dead at the hospital, and the man was charged with first-degree murder. I actually have no words for this really, like over a bag of candy. I would say get a grip, but clearly there's something much deeper going on here. Finally coming into number 1, we have the 17th door. Now this is the scariest haunted house in the world. Part of the Halloween or trick-or-treat season is the joy of going to a spooky haunted house. I recently went to an awesome one at Casa Loma in Toronto, which was absolutely terrifying. It seems though the world has decided upon the most terrifying spooky house of them all. 17th door is the psychotic brainchild of Robbie and Heather Luther. The pair opened up a haunted house in Orange County, California in 2015, and you actually have to sign a waiver before you go in. Also, it's so intense that there is a safe word in place. The house changes theme each year, but the experience is immersive and the actors can and will touch you or cut you. Deranged, disgusting and deplorable, the haunted house is designed for maximum fear. Now the 2017 waiver claimed, if you sit in the barber chair, your hair will get cut. And will was in capitals, so I think it's happening. If anyone was wondering what the safe word is, it's mercy. Of the 25,000 visitors 17th Door had in 2015, 3,800 of them called mercy, which is in excess of 1 in 10 people. Could you guys handle it? Honestly, I'm not sure if I could. If it was just spooks, maybe. But if there was anything tightly enclosed spacey, I wouldn't like that. I really wouldn't.